Greetings and welcome to Life is an Art, so learn how to live. My name is Fernando Alvarez, and my vision is to help you experience a more fulfilling, joyful, and empowering life. In this episode, please allow me to share with you my experience in dealing with the side effects of radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and how living one day at a time, cultivating patience, and consistently being in touch with my inner strength helped me surpass such difficult moments. As you recall, I had a major operation where my surgeon removed my network of lymph nodes from the right side of my neck and both of my tonsils due to cancer. The operation was a complete success as all the cancer-infected tissue was removed. After recuperating from my operation, which took about 5 to 6 weeks, I had to prepare for one of the most difficult journeys I have ever experienced in my life. Even though my ENT doctor explained in detail some of the major difficulties with the radiotherapy and chemotherapy, I could not ever imagine what it would feel like until I experienced these processes firsthand. And let me tell you, without inner strength, faith, patience, and focusing on living one day at a time, it is extremely difficult to live through and recuperate from these experiences. Going to the dentist before the radiotherapy. Before starting radiotherapy, I had to go to the dentist and had all my teeth checked to make sure all of them were healthy, especially the roots. After a thorough analysis via a panoramic x-ray of my mouth, the dentist saw that I needed to have 2 molars which had crowns and root canal, and the top right side of my mouth pulled because they were at risk of suffering from tooth decay after the radiotherapy. The same issue was found in 1 molar in the bottom right side of my jaw. Tooth decay and bone damage is a risk caused by radiotherapy. I connected to my inner wisdom and universal love and asked Jesus to guide the dentist to make sure she fixed my mouth properly so the risks with the radiotherapy would not happen. As I am speaking to you, it has been 1 year and a half since I finished my radiotherapy treatment, and my remaining teeth and facial bones are fine. I thank Jesus for this. The process of having my teeth pulled was a bit challenging. At that moment, my blood pressure was a bit high, and my dentist did not want to pull my teeth until my blood pressure went down. However, my ENT doctor was very adamant about the dentist pulling my teeth that day because she did not want to delay the starting date of my radiotherapy. She said that the current schedule for the radiotherapy and chemotherapy had to be kept to avoid any risks of having the possible cancer cells that remained to spread to other parts of my body. My cancer was localized, especially in the right side of my neck and my right tonsil. Thus, nothing had spread. Now that my lymph nodes and tonsils had been removed, it was crucial to start attacking the remaining cancer cells via radio and chemotherapy, my ENT doctor explained. To help with the process of pulling my teeth, my dentist gave me a moment for me to relax so my blood pressure would go down. As you may know, when one is nervous, anxious, or stressed, blood pressure usually rises. Thus, I took advantage of this moment and closed my eyes, meditated, and breathed deeply. I was able to calm down just enough to lower my blood pressure to an acceptable range, where my dentist felt it was safe for her to pull out my teeth, which were the 3 molars. This was another event where I saw how effective meditation and deep breathing helps control one's emotions, anxiety, and levels of stress. Deep breathing is key because it fully oxygenates all the cells in your body and your whole system functions more in balance. The first night that I got home from the dentist, it was not easy. My mouth did not hurt from having my three molars extracted. However, my heart rate was high and my blood pressure was also a bit high. My ENT doctor said that this is normal when the body is going through a traumatic process. The same issue happened the next few days right after my neck and tonsil operation. My blood pressure was a bit high, but again, my ENT doctor explained to me that this was normal. For the next few days after my molars were extracted, I spent a good amount of time meditating and breathing deeply. Once again, my heart rate and blood pressure went down. I currently am very intentional about engaging in meditation and deep breathing before I go to bed and before getting out of bed in the morning. This ritual resets my whole system, and I feel more calm, centered, and empowered. The reason I feel empowered is because for the first time in my life, I am experiencing my ability to be on the road to controlling my physical well-being, my emotions, and my mind more effectively. The interesting thing is that I have only begun to scratch the surface of this wise practice and its benefits. What excites me about meditation and deep breathing is that the more I do it, the better I get at it, and the benefits feel fantastic. Radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Both therapies started about the same time. The radiotherapy consisted of 35 continuous sessions in the afternoon, and the chemotherapy consisted of 2 stages. The first stage was about 8 sessions once a week, and the second stage took place a few months later and consisted of about 10 sessions every day except the weekends. The chemotherapy. The chemotherapy sessions lasted for about 5 hours. Prior to the chemotherapy session, I had to take a special medication to avoid nausea and vomiting. After taking the medication, I had to wait for about 45 minutes to start the actual chemotherapy. In the hospital, I went to the injection room, which was full of beds with cancer patients. Seeing so many people there, especially patients in their 50s, 60s, and up, was a really humbling experience for me. For the first time in my life, I saw and experienced the sad facial expressions and the disempowering body language of so many people suffering from this terrible sickness. However, I was determined not to let the experience of receiving chemotherapy break me. Connecting to my inner strength and the infinite wisdom that Jesus provided me carried me throughout this whole process. To be honest, my chemotherapy drug, as my oncologist explained, was not too strong. Thus, I only lost a little hair in the back of my neck and my facial hair. Also, I never felt any nausea or experienced any vomiting. Every day I thanked my Creator for the gift of not feeling nauseated. However, as the weeks passed, I started feeling the weakening effects and lack of appetite caused by the chemotherapy. I was losing weight little by little. Also, I had to take long 1 to 2 hour naps every day in the afternoon because I felt drowsy, weak, and also I felt the need to disconnect. Now let me tell you, not being in control of my well-being was such a disempowering feeling that required plenty, and I mean plenty, of meditation, prayer, and will, so I would not fall into a depressive state, which is also one of the risks of this type of treatment. My desire to live, my desire to be present for my family, and being very intentional with my meditation, my deep breathing, my prayers, and connecting to my inner strength, my infinite wisdom, and universal love kept me moving forward through this process. I focused each day at a time. As each day passed, it was a milestone for me. The radiotherapy. Having radiotherapy applied to your neck and jaw area is one of the most devastating forms of radiotherapy due to the severity of its side effects. Radiotherapy and chemotherapy did eliminate the remaining cancer cells in my neck and throat. However, the radiotherapy also affected all my healthy cells in the skin of my neck, and it also severely damaged my tissue and mucous tissue inside my throat, palate, and tongue. All this severely hampered my ability to eat, my ability to speak clearly, as you may notice as I record these episodes, and I felt constant discomfort on a day-to-day basis. I had 35 10-minute sessions of radiotherapy, usually from Monday through Friday, with some exceptions. I had a special custom-made porous mask that was clamped to my whole head and neck for every radiotherapy session. Each session consisted of a special X-ray machine that moved from side to side of my neck as I was laying facing upward. So it moved from the left side to my right side, so on and so forth, for 10 minutes. With the mask clamped firmly and my eyes covered, I could hear the buzzing of the machine as it beamed its X-rays from side to side for 10 minutes each and every day. The real desperation begins. The radiotherapy sessions were in the afternoon and they were actually painless. However, each day they were little by little damaging the skin on my neck and the tissue inside my throat and tongue. The first 1.5 weeks, everything was fine, as the side effects were not yet visible at all. However, at the beginning of week 2, I started feeling how the skin on both sides of my neck was becoming irritated, red, and highly sensitive to the touch. The pain was starting. Also, by week 2, lacerations and blistering sores were developing inside my throat, especially on the right side of my throat where the radiotherapy was more intense because the cancer was located in that specific area. Furthermore, my tongue became completely coated with a white fungal infection, and my salivary glands were starting to get affected. The way they got affected, and I'm still suffering from that a little bit, is that when I speak for long periods of time, my mouth and throat become a bit dry. So usually I have to stop, drink some fluids, especially water, and then I'm fine. So for me recording these sessions for my episodes, it's a little bit tiring for my throat, my mouth, and for my voice, because my mouth really becomes dry. So please excuse me if I have sometimes difficulty speaking. Now, eating was becoming painful and difficult, and by the middle of week 3, the radiotherapy was giving me a really hard time in regards to drinking water. So drinking water actually became an agonizing thing to do. It was really difficult to do. And imagine, drinking liquid is so easy, and when that becomes difficult, something is really wrong. I was beginning to lose more weight because of my inability to eat well. When drinking water began to be a real problem, I said to my wife, "It is time for me to be hospitalized." I was not able to feed myself anymore or drink liquids. I was hospitalized for 21 days. I was being fed via intravenous injections for a few days, and the doctor put me in a complete liquid diet. After I was able to have liquids, I began a soft diet. And later, I started eating more solid foods. Not a lot, but a few. As all of this was going on, I continued with my chemo and radiotherapy. I was also applying special medicated cream and having special treatment by a dermatologist for my damaged skin in both sides of my neck. Furthermore, I was taking antibiotics and doing special gargles to take care of the severe fungal infection caused by the radiotherapy. On top of this, I had to attach special tiny patches that were painkillers on my chest. I had to attach one tiny patch every 2 days, as I recall. The pain on the right side of my throat really limited my ability and desire to eat. After 21 days in the hospital, I was eating soft foods and some solid foods, and having liquids was not a problem anymore. I was feeling much better, had a little more energy, and was so thankful that I was finally going home. However, my weight, which was about 83 kilograms, which is 183 pounds more or less, prior to the operation, was now 60 kilograms. That's around 132 pounds. So I went all the way from 183 pounds to 132 pounds. That's from 83 kilograms to 60 kilograms. That's more than 20 kilograms of body weight lost. I really looked bad. I remember every time I looked in the mirror, I really didn't like what I saw. However, I knew this was part of the process. Among all the challenges that I was experiencing, some very positive events were also happening, believe it or not, as part of my journey in recovering. I had been receiving a series of scheduled CT and MRI scans as part of the monitoring process, and until the present day, I'm glad to say they have turned out negative. There's no cancer with me at all. I am cancer-free. The CT and MRI scans were scheduled every 3 months after the operation. Then they were every 4 months. Now I do them every 6 months. Also, I had to visit my ENT doctor every month. Then it changed to every 2 months. Now it is every 4 months. In regard to my oncologist, I used to visit him after each CT or MRI scan after the operation. When my radio and chemotherapy ended, and the CT and MRI scans continued to turn out negative, I had no need to visit my oncologist anymore. I have been cancer-free ever since my operation. As I conclude this episode, please allow me to underline the most important lessons I gained with this experience. First, work hard at having a positive mindset. Being an effective gatekeeper of your mind to keep out toxic and self-defeating thoughts makes a tremendous difference in keeping your optimism. Now, listen carefully. This is a very, very difficult skill to develop. However, it completely changes your life for the best. It takes time and a lot of practice. And let me tell you, intentional practice. Second, be intentional about working with your body in the healing process. The body is perfect because it works as a unit in harmony with all its subsystems within it, along with the perfect guidance of the infinite wisdom and universal love from the Creator. Thus, through meditation and deep breathing, one is able to connect to one's inner strength, wisdom, and universal love to work alongside the body to heal more effectively. Believe it or not, with practice, meditation has allowed me to tap the infinite wisdom and universal love to receive ideas and insights on what I need to do to work with my body to heal better and stay healthy. These insights come in a subtle way into my consciousness. The key to meditation is to quiet the mind in order to receive inspiration. It takes practice and consistency. That's why it is important to practice meditation every day. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But again, let me tell you, it's a difficult task. It's a difficult ritual. It takes a lot of concentration, practice, and consistency. You got to keep at it, because when you're meditating and you're trying to keep all those different thoughts that come into your mind, it's not easy. They just come. But with practice, you let the thoughts come in and go, let them come in and go. And as time goes by, you'll see that you're going to have more control, and not many disturbing thoughts are going to be coming in. And actually, when you're able to quiet the mind, not for a very long time, but for a short time, then you can really feel inspiration coming in. You can get ideas coming in. You can get insights. And I'm not just saying this because I read about it. I'm actually saying this because I've lived through it. I've experienced it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother talking about it. Because one of the things I really don't like doing is talking about something that I don't have a clue about. I like to speak about things that I know about, especially things that I have experienced. Third, deep breathing is paramount. Now, listen to what I'm going to say. This is really key. The reason I insist on deep breathing is because oxygen is the basic source of life for your cells. We all know this. We've read it. The more oxygen you breathe, the more life-giving force the cells receive. Also, deep breathing, instead of shallow breathing, allows your lungs to fully exchange the oxygen that comes in with the carbon dioxide the body needs to eliminate. Thus, deep breathing is also more effective at eliminating waste, especially carbon dioxide. And furthermore, if one does deep breathing properly, so if you do it correctly, if you practice well and really get better at it, one can lower one's heart rate, lower and stabilize blood pressure, and reduce stress and anxiety. And let me tell you, folks, since my operation 2 years ago, right now is June, let me take a look at my calendar. Yes, June 11th, 2020. And my operation took place June 15th, 2018. So it's about a year ago. And since then, I have tested this multiple times and it works. Every time I'm a little anxious or emotional, or I feel my heart rate go up, or I feel something is just not right, maybe with my blood pressure, I do my meditation, especially deep breathing, and I really control it. I actually am able to control a lot of it. I mean, meditating and deep breathing are fantastic tools that you have, and the best thing is that they're free. They are completely free, and they're at your disposal. Finally, believing in the process and in what you need to accomplish is essential. In my recuperation, I believe in everything I am personally doing to recuperate from the operation, the radio and chemotherapy, and the general recuperation process until I fully recover my health. I believe that I will recover fully, and I will. If you do not believe, you're negating all great possibilities from the start. Hence, believe. Just believe. Don't doubt. Episode 5 will be the final episode regarding my recovery process. I will focus on how patience, mindset, and strength and wisdom, living each day to the fullest, welcoming help from others, and faith kept me going. All these things have empowered me in a way that puts me in control of my life and happiness. And let me tell you, folks, there is no worse feeling, at least for me, no worse feeling than when one's well-being and happiness depends on others or on outside circumstances or external events. It's so disempowering. Thus, take control and be empowered. But for now, as always, remember, life is an art, so learn how to live. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.